We're gonna look into components today. So what components? It's basically the heart of the React thing. So components lets you split the UI into independent and reusable pieces, and think about every component as some kind of isolated thing. So inside this diagram, you can see that this one number, this is the one component. The other one is the second component, the third component, the fourth component, and fifth component. So what React does is it works on the thing like you make isolated components and you combine them to build a single UI, and it's very easy to make use these kind of components, which is pretty handy for us to write. And anytime you want to edit it, you can go and edit it without any hassle because you have different file for different components. So you should go for that. Okay. So this is how a component tree UI looks like. So let me go ahead and give you a taste of about components. So there are two kind of components. The one is called function-based component. So which we're gonna more use in this session. We're gonna kind of avoid our class-based components because it's kind of it's not you cannot say that it's obsoleted, but React after the React 16.4 16.8 I guess the version, mostly we will use this function-based component. So this is how a functional component looks like, and this is how a class-based component looks like. So let's dive into our VS Code. Okay, you guys can see my text editor, right? Hello.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So yesterday I told you about Create React app. So it's a very pretty good thing to when you start learning React. Usually people don't configure React by default by themselves. They try to use this Create React app thing. So everything you're gonna get out of the box. You don't have to set up your own Babel. You don't have to set up your own uh, other React tools like npm packages and all. You just have to write the command npx create react app project name, hit enter, and wait for the project to be created. After that, you can go your text editor and switch it. So let me start our development server. So you can use this like npm start. It will run your script and start a development server. So let me. I'm gonna keep it side by side so it's easy for you guys to see. So this is what we saw yesterday, right? So before getting into this component thing, I would like to make you guys familiar with all these folders. The first one is node modules. It's gonna take it has all the kind of library that you download from the npm package. So if you download your reach router, your HTTP client, it's gonna sit inside this node modules. And after that, we got a public folder, which is all these are public assets like favorite icon, the thing you can see right on the top of this tab. So this React icon is this favorite icon, and you got your HTML where you're gonna render everything. So this will be your div. This div will be your entry point, right? And after that, these are the manifest JSON is you don't have to know much about it pretty much now, but in case you go ahead and make your own PWA with after this, so you will do some kind of manipulations like you can change its short name, you can provide icon, you can provide type and all these stuff. So and you can also provide a start URL of your application which you hosted. So it's kind of a metadata information about your application. And after that, the main thing which we're going to do today is inside this source folder. So it has this app.css, the app.js. Okay, so this is the root component, and the root entry of this application is this index.js, which I'm gonna write it from scratch so that you guys can understand how we can write code in React. Okay, this is a service worker. You don't need to worry about this thing. Here we got our gitignore files. So if you guys know that like node module thing, you don't want it to push to your GitHub repo. So the thing that you don't want to push to your GitHub, you can include it in gitignore. So it stands for gitignore. You can just like you don't want to uh, push your build folder now, so you don't want to push your yarn error log and all these stuff. So you can put right here in this gitignore, and after that you can see a package.json file. So what is it? This is the main part. Like it also contains kind of the dependencies that you install in your application. Like if suppose I installed Axios, so you can see the dependency right inside here. Let me show you how to do this. You can go to npm install So I'm pulling this package named Excel. It is a kind of HTTP client just to show you how dependencies, dependency object looks like. So it'll take a little bit of time. And before till then, I'm gonna let you guys know that these script tags. So the one that we used to start our development server is with this npm start. So uh, this is used for starting a local host. This is used for making your build folder. We're gonna not get into test right now because React is some kind of uh, it will be a different course kind of advanced thing. You have to write your own test like your like own test cases where your app should pass. So there are pretty much good testing tools out there like just karma testing and mocha testing. So you have to know that much of React before starting off with testing. So just don't uh, look towards this testing thing. We'll focus it later. And you got your browser list. So all the latest browser, you can also provide the whatever browser you want to, latest, all the latest browser versions you can provide it here. Like this latest one Chrome version, latest one for Firefox, Safari, and all. It's taking pretty much time. It's all. So as I told you earlier that React uses by default React uses Yarn, but we're gonna use npm. It's your choice. You can also use Yarn. And yeah, that's it. So let's just so the React has a cool thing called pod reload, which I told you guys earlier as well. So if you guys go and just see the right side of the screen, if I say hello world and I hit control save, did you see guys? I don't have to go to the browser and reload it again. It already, it already reloaded for me. When the DOM updates, when the virtual DOM updates the real DOM, it already get uploaded. So this feature is called a kind of pod reload thing, which you will not see in vanilla JavaScript. So see an error, right? No worries, I'll tell you this out later. Let's first go to our index file, and this is what it pretty much looks like. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove every stuff from here. So in React, when you write, it's like after common JS convention introducing EN6, like you can use import and export to import different files inside another file. So to make your code a little bit modular. So to import, like you have to to write JSX, you have to first import your uh, this React object from the React library, which we installed using Create React App. So you have to write like import. You got to give it a name called React. So this here goes the object name that you want to use, or you can say a function, and from where you want to pull it off is your React library. So this is how you do this, and so you can see that now we are showing the white screen. Before initially we didn't have anything right here. Okay. After that, let's go inside and write a small element. I'm gonna give it a name called this one, and I'm gonna log it out to our console. See? So nothing is printed here because we haven't rendered anything in our browser. So if we go to our console, we can see an object right here. You guys can see that this object thing in the console. So this object has these properties: type of, key, props, ref, type, and all these stuff. So it's this object is a kind of part of a virtual DOM. It's not the real DOM. It's part of a virtual DOM, which I told you earlier. When you update your virtual DOM, whenever you make changes to your code, the virtual DOM compares itself with previous virtual DOM that it has created, and then it updates to your main real DOM. So this is what it looks like. This is the kind of the element you have created, this h1 tag. So this looks like this, and if you want to render it out, So you have to use a special render function. So you can write like uh, render DOM, and the first argument that it takes, it's the element what you want to render inside a DOM. So we're gonna pass this hello world thing. So we're gonna pass this element, and the second argument that it takes is the you know the where you want to render it. Like I want to render it in this index.html right inside the step tag, right inside the step tag. So let's get back to this, and in document will get element by id, and we pass the root to select that specific thing. And what does this says to me is React DOM is not defined. Of course, we haven't imported this thing, so we have to import it as well. So these are the two important packages that React gives you. One is the React library to write JSX, and one is this thing React DOM to render the stuff to DOM. So we're gonna write a render DOM from React DOM. Now you can see the hello world right here. And if you go, suppose you go to our elements, you can see that it's rendered with an ID right here. So this h1 tag we got rendered over here. Okay, guys. Any questions in this? Hello. Cool. So this is the hello world program that we printed right here. After that, what if I commented out this thing? Now it's again saying React must be in the scope of using JSX. So if you have to use JSX, you have to import this package right here. So these both are the important things. Every time you write JSX, you don't have to import this React DOM everywhere. You just have to import it right at the entry point of your application. And you can also, without writing this DOM.render, you can earlier I told you about destructuring, so you can, only destructure the render part, and I usually like kind of do like this. So yeah, it still works. So after that, we have our this part. Let's go. Till now, everything is good, guys. Can I get some feedback? Any questions? Let's see in the chat. All clear, guys? Okay. Cool. So this is in your app. This is what a component looks like. So let me go ahead and delete this whole stuff and write it from scratch. So you have to do that same shitty thing again, like write import from and you have to write, like, you can declare the function like this, app. Inside this, you can return like a tag that says and you have to export it to put it in your index.html. So you can export it like this, or you can export it like default, or show me like this. Go inside and or app. So you have to write like you have to import app, this app thing, this app function from /app directory. Yeah. So and now you can delete, eliminate it all. Inside this we're gonna pass app. Here's your element, and I'm writing here a hello world, basic hello world program. So if I do this, I go right here and I see in the console. Now can you hear me properly?
Yes.
So go and log it in our. You can see an object right here. So this object is a part of a virtual DOM. So how yesterday I told you about the real DOM and virtual DOM. So React do all its stuff by updating and mutating things. using this virtual DOM. It's a very pretty handy tool to use. And whenever you, I haven't, if I delete this line, I haven't rendered any stuff like any element inside this console. Okay, so you can see that all the white spaces there, you can see, you cannot see this hello world right here. And if you go to your console, you can see the object that I logged it out, and inside that object it has some properties called type of keys, props, refs, types, and all this stuff. So this is a part of virtual DOM, which when I wrote this code like using JSX, it affected the virtual DOM, not the real DOM, because we haven't rendered it on our main thing. So if we do this, you got your code right here. This is what I said in the earlier explanation. Sorry. It says element is not defined. No values. You have to pass. So yeah, earlier it was saying that if I don't include this, it was saying that you got to import this error before what it says, attempted import error, app does not contain a default export. So we haven't this default exported yet. So we have to like we can you can do it like this, and like this app. Okay, and when you and if you use if you don't use a default export, you have to wrap it around the curly braces. It's the necessity of this thing. And when you reload it, it's again saying, right, yeah, you can see that. And by default, I think you should do like, yeah, you should go towards more towards arrow function. So let me connect arrow function. And you can use the default export like this. So you have to, if you export it by default, you can omit this. So you got your first hello world code using this thing called isolated components. So any doubt in this, you guys can ask. Go ahead, guys. Nobody has any kind of doubt? Okay. Let's get this part again. Cool. What to know about function-based component? You can also write it using, class-based components. We can go ahead and do this using class-based component. So what you can do is you have to write like this: class app and select component. Inside it, use a render method. It works as well, but after the React 16.8 release, they don't recommend using class-based component because it's very, if when I'll tell you guys about states and lifecycle methods, it has a hell lot of things to do with. So while in function-based component, it's pretty easy. You can say that you don't have to write a different lifecycle method for every functionality that you want to do. So probably most of the time we're going to use our called fat arrow function to write our code. Okay, guys. So this was pretty much of our a simple hello world program that we saw. And after that, okay. So let me guys. After that, let's go ahead and make some more components. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new file. We're gonna name it greet.js. And inside it, I'm gonna write the same bullshit again. Import. And inside it, I'm gonna write a greet function. And inside that greet function, you can see that like and hello, say my name. You have to export this to use it app.js. Let me go ahead and import it right here. What we can do is we can run it like I have to also import it. Export, so I don't have to use those curly brackets. And dot the file VS Code already recommending me. So you see, did you guys see that? It got printed out hello Sumit. And what I do is if I go and call it more than one time, what the error that the error it throws is expected assignment of function call instead so an expression. Okay. So JavaScript has one another thing that it can only return like a single element, so you have to wrap it around a div. Like it's unable to like in JavaScript there's a syntax called you cannot return like 2 comma 8 two stuff at the same time. Other languages have this capability, but JavaScript is not built like this. So what you have to do, you have to take a wrapper container like a div. You can put this inside it. Okay, and there's one more pretty thing that we can see here is when you call your return statement after this return. So JavaScript has a kind of thing like automatic semicolon insertion. So what it does, it thinks that okay, so this line has ended right here. So we have to tell JavaScript to no, I'm not finished yet. So you can move this code, and you don't need to have this. Now you can see it's working. So if I go ahead and copy this tag and call it multiple times, you can see that I'm gonna call it multiple times. But what if the main thing about functions is we can write it once and use it as many times as we want? But here I'm getting a same thing, right? Like hello Sumit, hello Sumit, hello Sumit, hello Sumit. But if I want to replace this Sumit with other names, so what I can do is we can make use of props. So props is basically like, let me go to this. Okay. Props. So components, every component like HTML element accepts some kind of attributes like ID, class names, and other kind of attributes. Same case with this props. Component accepts arbitrary inputs called props and returns React element describing what should appear on the screen. So using that technique, we can read what we want. So like I want to replace this Sumit with the other names. So what I can do is I can go to this greeting and I'm gonna pass right here. I'm gonna pass props with like this as well. And here, let me go ahead and console and log it out. So, and, let me pass a name called Sam. Okay. And let's check the console. So you guys can see that I'm getting this object. All these objects are empty, but if I pass like other names right here, like name equals to name and name equals to okay, you can see I'm getting the props right here, but I'm not getting any results right here. So how can I use this prop? So should I write like this? Well, but it's treating it as a text. It's not treating it as a dynamic variable. So what we have to do is we have to write like name. So this is sorry, we have to props So now you can see that hello Sam, hello Luna, hello John, hello Amy, and you go ahead and add more. Let's say XYZ. Actually, I ran out of names. So yeah, hello Sam, hello Luna, hello XYZ, and you can also console log and you can see that, open a console and see that what objects we are getting. So name, name Sam, name Luna, name John, name Amy, and name XYZ. So this is what a prop looks like. And what if you want to pass its age as well? You can pass as many as attributes you want. So like I'm gonna give it an age of 20, and let me use a pretty cool thing in VS Code, multiple cursors. So like white it's like override it 20 and 25. So now you guys can see one more property in this object. So it's called name that we pass inside this prop. Okay, you can also pass gender. So right here is male, Luna is female, I know what this guy or gal has gender. So yeah, so you can see gender as well. And now if I go ahead and zoom in, uh, you can also use fragments in React. Expect except the div. If you don't want to use div, you can just put some like these kind of empty opening and brackets, and you are good to go. You don't have to every time like wrap your whole component inside a div. You can also use these fragments, or there's one more thing like you can use react.fragments. You have to also close it. Was it was not that much great, as you can see. If this empty brackets is doing your job, so why you have to go and do that? So yeah, we're getting hello. Okay, so we're gonna use another paragraph. So it says my age is like age. So this prop is a whole object, and whatever property you want to access, you can use it by prop dot the property name it has, like gender, age, or name, and my gender is so you guys can see that whatever prop we have passed inside it, you can see that hello Luna, my age is 15, my gender is female. You get we build a single component in piano using it multiple times with different props, and we can accordingly get the different data right here inside our main app. So anybody has doubt in this? Should we move on? Anybody anything? Just continue, right? Okay. So yesterday I also told you about destructuring. So what if I don't want to write like this? Props.name, props.age, props.gender. What we can do right here is we can, destructure all the properties. Like we can destructure name, age, and gender right here. It works the same. So this is more of a great thing, which I told you earlier, that destructuring will be very helpful for us. You can also destructure it like you can go ahead and destructure it like const name, age, gender, and says props is not defined, what to, yeah. And if you eliminate all these, you're still, you can still see the data we used. So now one thing is like you right now you know what you have to pass inside your the component, like you have you can pass exactly name, or you can pass age, or you can pass gender. So all these things you can pass, actually you know about what you have to pass, like you know that you have to pass some name, you have to pass some age, you have to pass some gender. But what if you don't know about what I'm going to pass inside, or the content that's going to be inside this greeting? You don't have pretty much sure about it. So what you can do is one more thing, like you can go ahead, and it's called as children. So you can write like props dot, it's a very pretty much great tool. And what you have to do is you have to stop using this thing. Sorry, repeat. And inside this you have to use, like, you can pass anything, whatever you want. It can be a dynamic data as well. So this is a para, okay, and you can see that this thing right here, okay. If I have to pass another thing like greet, and you want to pass a button, suppose, sorry, at this button it says select me. You can see the button, okay. We are using the same thing, same component, but we have no idea that what if we make an API call, and the data that came back, it can be anything, right? It can be an image, it can be anything. So you can like use this props.children thing. It's a very pretty cool, handy feature. You just have to get the access from this, and you can also console and log it out and see what props has to offer again. If you go see your console, so you can see this children property, right? Inside this children we have this props, and this props contains, this is a para. So yeah, that's how we work with components. Everybody clear? Clear now, guys? Have you changed the font of hello Sam? Okay, you can right here you can provide, like, use a style object like this, and inside it you can provide font size. Like I'm gonna give it 20. You don't have to, if you're using this style object, you don't have to like pass pixels every time. And if you go ahead and see, it's got changed, right? The pixel has changed. You can see the fonts are changing. Does this answer your question? Yeah, if you want to make changes to this, let me go ahead and cut it out and paste it right here. You can also change, you can put it anywhere. You can use the style object, you can add any kind of style, like you can add, so to add color to text you can pass it. You can see my age is 20, it's now become red. Any style you like. And if you want to there are very things that React that you used to do with your normal HTML. Like if you have to pass a class, you did it like this, and you're gonna pass class name container. But in React you have to use a thing called camel case. So every time you have to pass a class inside it, you got to do this like class name container. And you can write your styles in your app.css right here. So if you write container and with the color of green, you also have to import it to use. So you don't have to do the same thing like import the file name, because because you don't have any you don't have any function inside it. You just have some classes. You have to import the whole file right here. So but how you can go and app.css, and you can see all the thing has changes. So to keep things separate, you can write your HTML right here. This is the deep bloatware that they give. So this is how you know write your HTML inside this thing. This example must have cleared this to you, right?